we're Team Mills. They say teamwork makes the dream work, and we're here to tell you they were right.
I'm John, the dreamer and logistics.
I'm Megan, the caution and the creative. Together, we've spent the last 10 years raising babies and building multiple businesses from the ground up. One thing we know to be true, we couldn't have done it without each other. From late nights to early mornings, failures and successes, and the unbelievable joy of seeing our dreams come to life, we live and breathe entrepreneurship, and we know firsthand just how much work it takes.
But we're not only business partners, we've been married for 10 years and have 4 beautiful kids who we homeschool in East Tennessee. We want to instill these life skills and values in our children and do life alongside them. We believe life is better as a team in every area. No one can do it alone. So our hope in this podcast is to walk alongside you, encourage you, and maybe teach you a thing or two about running a business and just life in general.
So let's get to work and learn something new. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast.
What's up, guys?
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we're here with episode number 3.
That's crazy. We're on our 3rd one already.
So fun. I want to address the elephant in the room first and foremost because most of you are listening to this today and I have allergies.
Yes.
I hate the way my voice sounds right now, but we wanted to stay on schedule with the podcast. So here we are recording. So I apologize for episodes 3 and 4 and how they sound.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you do see Meg's skin tone is a little bit darker than last time.
I'm pretty proud of that though. We just got back from Florida from our 10-year anniversary trip and we had the most impeccable time and we got extremely tan. So there's that.
It was awesome.
We wanted to say thank you guys so much for all of the love over this podcast. It has been so amazing reading all of your reviews, hearing your DMs, and just the sweet messages of friends and people resharing that they're listening to our podcast. It's so fun.
Yeah, I love it. Love reading all those.
I know. So thank you so much if you've taken time to send us a message or leave us a review or watch on YouTube. However it is, we just genuinely appreciate it. And for all the sweet feedback, it's so encouraging. Today, we are going to jump into an episode talking about homeschool.
I am pumped. I'm so pumped about that.
Are you really?
I am. I love homeschool.
Okay, good. Well, before we talk about it, though, we need to do our community spotlight, where we take a minute to shout out someone who we just appreciate following along on our platforms. And today we are sharing Tara Illy. I love her so much. You can find her on Instagram at Tara Illy. And she actually is from England. We met back in my blogging days. She was a blogger. I was a blogger. We became fast friends through the internet. And then we've just stayed in touch through Instagram. Thankful for that little space because we've been able to keep up with each other's lives. She's a mom to 2 little twin baby boys. And well, they're not babies anymore, but I've followed them since they were babies. And she's just so encouraging. She has a business called Mail Your Mark on Instagram as well. And that's all about encouragement and affirmations and how to lift up other people. So just her whole business model, it just exemplifies her heart and how much she cares for other people. So thank you, Tara, for all of the support. You are constantly in my DMs with encouragement, cheerleading us on with everything that we do. And I truly admire you and your heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into today's episode, diving into homeschool.
Let's do it.
This is a question that we get so often on Instagram, basically because I share behind the scenes of it. I don't share a ton about it because my heart's a little bit guarded around it in the sense that it's something personal to our family. Mm-hmm. And I never want to come off making other people feel like this is something they should be doing or that it's the right choice by any means. But for our family, it is the right choice. And we did not get here on our own accord. And we want to share kind of the backstory about why we started homeschooling, how we got here, our decision-making process behind that. And then once we did decide what curriculum, how you do it, how you even start, what our days look like, all of the things. And hopefully this will clear up some questions that I'm constantly getting on Instagram about it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are interested in homeschooling right now. So we've been through it for almost a year now. So hopefully we can give you guys some insight on it.
This is true. I can't believe we are finishing up our first year. We are at the 10-month. It did. We're at the 10-month mark. And we have Maddox, who we've done first grade with, and then Emery, who we unofficially did kindergarten with because her birthday falls in September. So August obviously is the school cutoff. So she technically would have been starting kindergarten this coming fall. But we went ahead and just did curriculum with her for kindergarten because she was so eager to learn.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she was actually wanting to learn, right?
yeah, she was begging to. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say no to that. So let's do it. And we actually just went through it faster than I thought we would. I was thinking we would just kind of slowly trot through it, but she was eager and she's learned a ton. So it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we need to start with how this came about. How did we even come to the decision of homeschooling? And I'm going to kind of take the leeway on this one because you'll understand why in a few minutes. It was not John's decision.
No,
at
this
first.
was all Meg's decision. For
well,
sure.
not my decision. It was my idea. And then we came to a decision together.
That's right.
Backtrack, I guess, to when Maddox was in kindergarten, and he did go to public school for kindergarten. And I had looked forward to the day that I got to send a kid off to school. I was excited for the fact that they got to go to school. I was excited for the fact, I'm going to say this, and
there's no shaming on this,
I'm
right?
showing my own sinful nature here, but I was excited to have a kid out of the house for, several hours out of the day, even though I still had the girls. It was just nice to know like one less. And in my mind, honestly, guys, if I'm being totally transparent here, I knew the year that I was going to have 4 kids in school and have 8 hours a day to myself. And my idols were fully revealed to me through this decision, and we'll get to that and share more on it. But I'm going to shamefully plug away that I have idols and they came out strong.
And being honest, I mean, I remember if you were having hard days, I was like, just wait. There's going to be one day they're going to be in school and you're going to have 8 hours by yourself. Just make it through this time and we can get them in school and then you'll be fine.
Yep. And I glorified that idea. And that wasn't proper. That wasn't the right thing. And I know that now, but that's where I was at in that headspace at that time. So backtrack to Maddox being in kindergarten. I was so excited to finally have him off and in school. And it was probably closer to the last semester. It was December, around Christmas. It all just started hitting me really hard how unhappy I was with the routine and the schedule that we were in. I was kind of plugging away at it, in the beginning when he started, and realizing, okay, we have to find our new normal here. What's it going to look like? Like, we'll figure it out. By December, I was completely burnt out. Knowing that he had one more semester of school left, I was just like, when can May get here? Like, I want this to be over and have a break. Mainly because it just felt exhausting trying to get all of the kids out of the house in the morning. And John can attest to what that what that looked like.
Which I think that's everybody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard getting just one kid ready to go to church or school or whatever. But when you got 4 of them, it seems you're always rushing, always behind, just saying, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And it just had everybody stressed out every single morning.
No matter how much I prepared the night before to try to have it all like cookie cutter ready for the next morning so that I wasn't barking at the kids, it was still somehow chaotic every morning because it was so early, having to get 4 of them out the door and myself ready by 7:30, making sure we had all the things, lunches, homework, all of it done. It just felt like a lot, and I wasn't happy at all. And Maddox was coming home really irritable every single day, really, like, you could just tell that he had been tested all day long. And I understand now why, just his personality and his age, and it was hard for him. And the girls were also simultaneously going to preschool a couple days a week. So I would finally get them all loaded up, take him to kindergarten, and then run them across town to preschool, and then have Cree with me throughout my workday to turn right back around.
For like 3 hours for the preschool, right?
Yes. Turn right back around, get the girls, and then kill time. We didn't have enough time to go home before we had to go get Maddox. So we would just like find things to do, run errands, go to the park, something small, and then go get him. And then we get home and we were all absolutely exhausted. But then the hamster wheel of making dinner and doing homework while I was making dinner. I'm simultaneously trying to bounce a baby, help a kid at the bar stool with homework, make dinner. Guys, it was just a lot. Like, more power to the people out there who this doesn't overwhelm, because I truly don't know how you do it. It was not a happy place for us. And so that was kind of when the word homeschool started swirling around in my mind. I was like, we'll get more time with Maddox, our time with our kids back that we were craving. We won't have to rush. Like, the word busy can be taken out of our vocabulary, at least in a small sense.
In the past, what did you think about homeschooling?
Oh, yes. Insert foot in mouth. I have said my entire life, I will never, ever homeschool.
And I said the same thing, right?
Yes. That sentence has come out of my mouth so many times. And that's why, like, truly today's sharing about our journey and just where we're at now is just a testament to God and him changing my heart, both of our hearts, because both of us were against it and he completely transformed our hearts. So shout out to the Lord for that one.
Yep. And he transformed you first.
Yes. So the word homeschool started swirling around in my mind, and I knew that if I brought this to John's attention, one, he probably wouldn't be gung-ho for it, and understandably so. He has his reasons that he'll share. And then also because I knew that he would need to know facts, like, okay, well, what's this going to look like? John's very black and white. You guys know this by now. He wants to know what it's going to look like, how it's going to be, all of the details. And I'm very vague. So I was like, okay, I need to process all of this before I bring it to his attention. So automatically I started praying over it. I started a Bible study called Seek because I wanted to make sure that I was seeking out God's wisdom in all of this and that this wasn't just a decision that I'd be making on my own accord. And I knew if I was seeking him, he would seek me. And so I started that, and that was super helpful. I spoke to 2 friends who I asked to just kind of pray me through it, who are also homeschool moms, and asked them so many questions. Oh my goodness. Like everything I could ask, I asked. And they were so genuinely sweet with putting up with me. So I was seeking out their counsel and asking them to pray me through it as well. And then I also started watching tons of YouTube videos of homeschool moms and what day in the lives look like, curriculums. Like I just ingested everything I possibly could before I brought it to John's attention so that I could have my whereabouts and kind of know like, what would a day look like for us? How could we do this with our business? How much does it cost? Like all the things I knew he'd ask. And during this time, God was working on my heart majorly because when I say I started seeking out homeschool, I wasn't seeking it in the sense of eagerness. I was seeking it with my heels dug in the mud, saying like, God, there has to be another way. Don't make this the answer.
Yeah, that's true.
And once again, he changed my heart. But that took some time. So he was showing me signs through all of this. And a lot of those are very personal to me. And I don't know that I'll ever share, but lots of things were just things I couldn't turn away from, like talking to people and never meeting them before. And all of a sudden they would say, well, we homeschool. And I would have never met somebody randomly that homeschooled like that. And I did. It was just really bizarre scenarios where I was being put in places and circumstances and meeting people that it just kept coming up. And I was like, okay, God, I hear you, but still heels dug in the mud. But I knew that this was something that we needed to talk about. And I really thought that this was the way it was going. My heart was changing and opening up. So once I had all of my wits about me, I brought it up to John. And how did you respond?
Instantly, I said no.
He's right. He said
100% no. And, I think it came from a few different things. I mean, I grew up in Elizabethton, small town. I loved my school. I loved the junior high, the elementary school, the high school. I loved playing sports. I just had a really good 3 different schools I went to. My parents were friends with all the teachers and the sports, the environment. I just wanted my kids to be a part of that. So when I heard that first, I was like, no, if we do that, then they're not going to be in the Elizabethton schools. They're not going to get that experience that I had. But then after we started talking about it, you gave me more details. I'm like, okay, well, you do all the digging. And I do even remember saying, well, I'm not going to do the homeschooling. This is on you. If you're, I'm behind you, but if we're going to do it, it's you,
Which terrified me even more because that was like John putting his foot down and me being like, well, wait,
yeah.
now this pressure's on me. Oh no.
And this was before God changed my heart. Right. So I was not there yet. But with Meg praying about it, and then I seriously did also pray about it and say, if it was your will, change my heart, let me see the good in it. And then just really get out of my head of knowing that our kids don't have to live through my footsteps.
Right.
They need to live through their own, and what's best for them right now, with the environment and, our relationship, and time moves so quick. And with the way you brought it up is that we need to enjoy as much as we can with the kids, because one day they're going to be gone. It just happens so quick. So what's better if we could just have them at home and do homeschooling there And hopefully we can just build that family environment we always wanted.
Yeah, I truly feel like our team meals really became strong when we started doing that, because we were spending so much more time together now than we did before. And we just are more of a team because we're doing everything together, and our kids get to tag along to more now because our schedule is more free, et cetera, which we'll, like I said, share more as we go. But it was a work in progress for John's heart to change, but it was honestly really cool for me to watch that unfold, because you were so adamant. Like
I was guys, probably rude.
He said no, like that was his words. Like, hey, what do you think about homeschooling? Absolutely not. I was like, okay, well, this is awkward because God's changing my heart right now. So what do we do now? And we started praying about it, not together, but at the same time. And I asked John, I said, if you do anything, please just walk away from this prayerfully and don't let this be your sinful nature choosing to say no. Like, really pray about it and ask God to lay the answer on your heart. And if the answer is no, fine, we'll deal with that and cross that bridge. But he's pulling me towards yes. So now we're in a divide. We're going to have to work through this. He really just makes magic happen.
Yeah. And it's cool also because we had the whole aspect of Cookie Crate and social media and stuff like that. You were very heavily in that. And we were wondering how would you do homeschooling and then also do that? Like, what's the logistics? How are you going to get your free time to be able to do that where I can still work and not have to take all my time up to homeschool so you can do Cookie Crate? And God worked all that out.
He did. He's in the details, y'all.
Yeah.
And we're going to tell you more about like what a day in the life looks like, because that is the most commonly asked question I get, aside from like what curriculum we use and those kinds of things, which we're going to share, but asking, how do you run businesses and homeschool? How do you do this simultaneously? So we're excited to kind of tell you how we do all of that today, but we thought it was important to kind of share how it happened that we even got here in the first place, especially knowing that our feelings were like, we'll never, ever do this. And then here we are with our first year done, grateful for the decision that was made, because we would never change the last year of our life. It's been amazing.
Today's episode is sponsored by The Cookie Crate, a company whose mission is to make gift giving a simple yet intentional experience. With a desire to spread joy all over the U.S. through delicious, freshly made cookies, The Cookie Crate has become a nationally known brand known for their delicious and unique flavors. Each crate is baked fresh to order with the option of a handwritten note to personalize your gift even more. Let The Cookie Crate help you send some love to friends and family or yourself today by going to thecookiecrate.com. Follow them on Instagram at The Cookie Crate to stay up to date on launches, promos, giveaways, and more. Now let's get back to the episode.
Okay, so we have come to the decision at this point. John's worked through his prayer, and honestly, guys, I can't even tell you how long it took. It was several weeks, but we talked about it every night.
Yeah.
Every night. And do you remember when your heart changed and you were like, okay, let's do this?
I don't. I think once you got me all the details.
Yeah.
And I questioned everything. I really do.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, when we're doing something like this, I do question a lot. Same thing with starting business. I question a lot before we do it. Right. But it's like, okay, well, how long do you have to do school for? She would find out. She would tell me. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. They're in school for 8 hours. You're saying you do school for 2 hours? How is that even possible? So there was a lot of details that she, through her friends, found out. So many
details that he wanted to know. And there were so many times where I was like, John, I don't know. This is going to be a learn as we go basis. I can give you what I think the answer is, but like, we're just going to have to trust and abide here.
And the good thing is we trusted. And then we also realized that it might be right for us right now, but it might not be right for us in a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years. Yeah. They might decide we need to put them back in school, and that might be the best thing.
And I think that's when the scariness kind of went away for me, at least dissipated a little bit, because I was like, okay, well, at least we're not saying like the next 15 years of my life are here. And of course, that's for my own sinful nature, just needing like a scapegoat or like a way out. True. But I was like, okay, we'll just commit to 1 year at a time and go from there. And we still live in that mindset, even though we feel in our hearts that we'll probably never go back to public school. But that's for own personal reasons. And we selfishly just really love our new norm. And the kids are doing great and thriving. But so John eventually, sorry, we don't have a epiphany moment as to when decided that we were going to move forward. So the next step for me was saying like, okay, God, I guess we're really doing this. Like, you've transformed John's heart right before my eyes, which was so cool to watch. we're doing this. What's the next step? And I automatically just got on the internet, good old fashioned Google for the win, and said, how do I homeschool in Tennessee? Because every state has their own laws and regulations. So that was my first step. And it's very simple, actually. We just had to find an umbrella school to register under. And then there was just a couple rules through that school about, attendance and grade tracking. And that was really it. It was very simple, way more simple than I thought it was going to be.
So what's the umbrella school?
The umbrella school is basically the school that you sign up under so that they can keep track of all of their information, so that say Maddox wants to go to college, then I can easily go to my umbrella school and they can give me all of his, testing scores, all of his attendance and grades throughout the last however many years. But they keep track of everything for you so that he can have that to bring to schools for, submission. But the umbrella school that we use is actually called Home Life Academy. And when I'm saying there are hundreds out there, there are hundreds out there. The only reason I came across that one is through friends and word of mouth and just hearing that name a lot when I was asking around. And then also their platform was very user friendly, as well as what they asked of you for homeschool was so simple. All they want is a number on how many days you did school, which is very easy to keep track of, and then a pass or fail for the very early years. At least it gets a little more, extensive as they get older, but to have little kids like third grade and under, it's very simple. And we'll cross the other bridges when we get there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think too far ahead. I think day by day, going through it. But anyway, so that's kind of how, once we knew we were going to do it, I started seeking out, how do I homeschool? What do I need to do to sign up? And then I just got all of that done. And it was very simple, learning how to register. And then I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos on curriculum. That was the next step, asking a bunch of friends what they use, why they like it, why they don't like it. We knew that when we decided on a curriculum, there was some factors that we had to hit, because we knew we were still working, and we both were, and that we needed something that was more open and go versus me creating a course load every single semester. I am not a teacher. I do not enjoy, putting together binders and laminating and printing off. That is not my heart. There are so many homeschool moms out there that they rock the heck out of that.
Amber likes that, right?
Amber does like that, and she's so good at it. There's a lot of moms that I follow on Instagram that are just phenomenal, and I will be in awe of them forever for that. But the beauty of homeschool is that it can look so different and unique for everybody, and there's no right or wrong. So I knew going into it, I'm not going to be that mom, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. I needed something less extensive, more open and go. Plus, we knew that John was going to be, he kind of pulled his foot out of the mud a little bit and said he would help, and he wanted to be involved. So if he was going to be involved, we needed something that he could easily jump in without me sitting down the night before and be like, okay, so you need to teach XYZ and blah, blah, blah. So we landed on a curriculum called The Good and the Beautiful. And you can look it up online. You can watch extensive YouTube videos of people flipping through it so you can see what pages look like, what a lesson would look like. There's so much on the internet, guys, that is so helpful. And I highly recommend doing that if you're thinking about homeschooling, because it kind of just gives you a visual aid of what you're going to be doing. And so I did that. I did a lot of YouTube, and we landed on The Good and the Beautiful, and we love it. Do you like it?
I do like it. It's easy. I mean, again, he's in first grade now, so it's not extremely detailed in there, and it's not like we're dealing with a 12th grade student.
Oh boy.
Which can't imagine that. It's pretty scary, but it's very simple, and he loves it. And
does too.
And he is actually learning, which is amazing, because he learned a lot more this year with us than he did when he was actually in kindergarten.
Yeah, when he left kindergarten, he only knew 5 sight words, and he was struggling really hard with that. He was doing well. He just couldn't latch on to certain things, and he's actually reading now, which is oh my goodness, we taught a kid to read.
That's awesome.
I never would have thought that was possible, and I honestly still don't know how we did it. It wasn't us.
No,
it was the curriculum.
It was, yeah.
And I know that people are probably curious too about price wise. So for us to do 2 kids curriculum, and we started out small because we didn't want to go into all of this and overwhelm ourselves. So we did just Maddox and Emory with language and arts for each of them, which is like spelling included in that. And then math. That's all we did with the two of those, the two like most important. And then we did add a little bit of handwriting. Like they just have cute little handwriting notebooks they can do in their spare time, but we weren't sticklers about doing that daily or anything. But the language, arts, and reading we did per day, every day. And that cost us about $200 in total for the two of them for an entire year's worth of work. So it's a great price point, in my opinion. I mean, whenever John was asking me all the questions about homeschooling and wanting to know all the fine details, I added up how much it would cost to homeschool our kids versus how much we spent in public school with tuition, fundraisers, lunches. Like I added up
Yeah, how
everything.
many fundraisers did we get? That was quite a few of them.
Oh, my
buy some
goodness.
popcorn or buy
It was
some wrapping
constant.
paper.
And we felt like we wanted Maddox to be involved. So
Yeah.
we did everything. And it was just a lot of money when we added it up. And in comparison to homeschool, John was shocked at the sticker price. And he was like, okay, check. I knew numbers were in my favor.
Yeah, that's right.
So the price was good. It was open and go. And then also the Good and Beautiful is very visually appealing. So the kids really enjoy it. The lessons do not take that long. We're going to go into kind of what a day in the life looks like and how much we spend time-wise doing school. But it's very open and go and easy to follow along with. So there's no like night before sitting down, getting stuff organized or planned. We literally just walk in the morning, open our books, read the couple of sentences of like what's about to happen and go.
Yeah.
Super simple.
And it's a Christian platform, right?
Yes, it's actually Mormon based, but I couldn't find anything in the curriculum that was like specifically geared toward that religion.
Yes.
It's all like, we're going to count these trees. God created the trees. How many trees can you count? It was very simple, but God is involved throughout the book in just terms of creation and numbers and all of that. They keep it very Christ-centered throughout the whole curriculum. All right, so let's go into what a typical day kind of looks like for us. Do you want to share kind of like how many days a week, what we do, what our schedule looks like?
Yeah, we do it 4 days a week. And we have it worked out where on Wednesdays, I actually give Meg actually a full day and I stay with the kids. So I get to do school with them Wednesday morning. But usually what my day is basically the same thing that you do with, we wake up, have breakfast, and then, let them get their wiggles out. And I usually start with one kid at a time. Do you usually do two at a time?
It just depends on their attitudes.
Yeah. So we usually just sit at the dining room table and I usually do Maddox first. And then I'll let Emery just distract Cree because she's the hard one right now to do homeschool with because she wants to get up there and mess with the books and color on stuff or throw Play-Doh at you.
She's in everything. And
She
once you
is.
get her contained with something, she's over it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, which I do have a hard time with that. I have a hard time concentrating. And I think Maddox does as well. So when you do have Cree in there, it makes it hard. So I only do Maddox at one time, and then that way the others can actually distract Cree, take her upstairs or whatever.
But I love that, like, that's a lesson of its own. It's teaching the girls, like, hey, daddy needs your help. You need to be responsible for playing with your sister right now. And it teaches Maddox grace and humility and the fact that, like, hey, we have a baby at home. We have to give her grace. She doesn't understand. And, more compassion towards that. Like, being interrupted is okay, It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, so we go over, I usually start with math, and then I do language and, reading with him. But he always has 2 booklets that we get to do, and there are a couple pages on each one of them. And then usually as far as the reading, he has a couple small books that he'll read, and they tell you to read through. And then do the sight words and the phonics cards sometimes. So it kind of tells you every day exactly what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. And I like the Good and the Beautiful for the fact that it's something new every day, but it's very repetitive so that it's constantly, keeping it drilled in their head. Like you're going back, you might do 10 lesson plans, but then you'll go back and do something you did at the very beginning and just to reaffirm that you still know that and just keep it going. I don't know. I feel like it's very solid and it's just not something new every single day. It becomes very easy to follow along with, and you can see how the repetition helps them learn.
Yeah. And the nice thing is I wasn't good at school. So I was kind of worried about that too, how I'm going to teach them when I wasn't even good at school.
Right.
But this booklet is perfect because it actually says, okay, now read this story to the kid and ask him these questions. So it's very detailed on what you do. So really you're just reading it and then you read what you need to read to the kid. And then that's how you're teaching them. So you don't have to come up with the stuff and find the right words and how to explain it. It already tells you how to explain it to the child. So it works out really good for me that wasn't good at school. Is very easy for me to do.
Right. And we've got a consistent routine now, kind of time wise. So I do school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and we start usually around like 9 o'clock in the morning and we're done around 11 or 11:30. And the same kind of goes for John with his day. Sometimes he starts a little bit earlier than I do. It just depends. It's not like, okay, guys, class is starting. Come sit down at the table. It's just very like, all right, we got everything done. We're ready to go.
Yep.
And that's been something we've had to untrain our brains with too. So, we spend such a short period of time doing school, and it's been harder for me to realize that we did this so that we could be very open and relaxed. We wanted our mornings to be slower. We got that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Sometimes the kids are in pajamas until like noon and I'm like, this is glorious. But on top of it, I had to learn, okay, not every 2 days look the same. And also we don't have to be rigid. Like this is part of why we chose this life. So for example, I recently found myself, the kids are playing outside a lot. It's summertime. They're out there, by 8:30 in the morning, they're begging to go out on the playground because it's beautiful and warm, which I'm happy about. Like, great, super slow morning, go out. I'll sit and drink my coffee while they play. And I had to train myself because I recently caught myself looking out at them. They were all four gathered around this caterpillar and a bunch of worms. Like they were just living their best life, digging in the dirt, dirty by 8:45 in the morning. And I looked at the time and I was like, gosh, it's almost 9. I need to get the school stuff out. I was about to say, okay, come on over so we can start school, just because I knew that was like the next step. I'm like, why am I about to interrupt 4 children who are happily playing in the mud right now? And they're like playing in nature and they're living their best life. And so I just let them casually play for as long as they wanted. And then when the moment kind of dissipated after like 20, 25 minutes, I was like, okay, let's go ahead and grab school stuff and get started. So I didn't interrupt their playtime. But in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to untrain myself still to be like, stop trying to be so rigid. Let them be kids.
Yep. Let them enjoy their time. And one thing like I had an issue with at the very beginning was, how can you get schoolwork done in 2.5 hours? But if you really think about it, when kids go to school, especially when they're in kindergarten, first grade, they take a ton of bathroom breaks, long lunches, and there's 30 kids in a class. Yeah. So if you think about actually how much they're learning during that time, it's not much. You probably only have a few hours actual worth of learning in a school day. Mm-hmm. So I just had a really hard time at the very beginning wrapping my head around how are our kids going to learn anything in that short amount of time. Right. I was like, because they're in school for 8 hours. Right. But after this year, we can look back and actually see that Maddox learned a lot. Mm-hmm. And he actually learned more than he did in kindergarten for being in school for a whole year in kindergarten. So it's a testament to that a couple of hours worth of actually just dedicated learning is the same as just 8 hours in a classroom.
Right. And it will get more extensive as they get older and we have to add in, science and social studies and other things. It will become a little bit longer, but the good thing is it can be flexible and done throughout an entire day, broken up as we want it to be, which is my favorite part, is the flexibility of our days and what that looks like. And if there's a day where people are losing their minds and not doing well, then we just skip it or we move on. Like, we do not have to push through this. That is okay. If Maddox is sick or someone's having a hard day, then we just take a break and we pick back up the next day. Like I said, we school Monday through Thursday, but if there's a day during the week that maybe something at work is busy and we have to, have a photo shoot or something that messes up our schedule, then we'll just do school on Friday and make up for it, or Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Like, it doesn't matter when it has to be done. It just gets done when we have the time to get it.
And we do it year round.
Yes.
So that's how we can make up those times.
Right. We did make that decision to do year round. And that was simply for the fact that we didn't want to take a break for summer and then get completely off schedule and out of sorts in just our rhythm and routine. So we wanted to be able to do it year round and, take breaks for vacations, week-long vacations here or there, and then jump right back in. And we can take it with us on vacation too, which we've done before, but we've never actually ended up doing it because we're having too much fun.
It's a great idea to take on vacation, but I mean, again, you're on vacation. Let's enjoy the time, and we'll get back to it and make up a few days if we have to.
Exactly.
On the week when we get back.
Well, what's kind of cool is right now, John and I are simultaneously studying James. We're doing it together through a Bible study. And in James 1:16, it says, "Just do not be deceived. I'm saying he knew the world and the enemy and our sinful nature, and all of that would try to steal our joy. He knew that we would be deceived in that manner." And for me, like I mentioned in the beginning, I had major idols going into this that were very hard for me to bury. And I'm still working on trying to bury them.
We still have those idols, right? Both of us.
Yes. John gets a mental breakdown from me like every 3 months or so as I'm trying to just work through my flesh, right?
Because it is tough.
It is.
I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, you're going to have some hard days.
Absolutely. But hard doesn't mean bad. And I feel like our society wants to make it out like hard. If things are difficult, then it's bad. But that's not true.
No.
If things weren't hard, then we wouldn't need Jesus. So
that's true.
And he tells us that there's going to be trials and suffering. Not that I think homeschool is suffering, but it definitely has its trials. And I need him. I have to call on him. And those are those moments of weakness when I'm like, okay, this is so stinking hard, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It means that he is growing and refining me and my family. And we're going to come out stronger for it, right?
Right.
One of my other idols as well was the alone time. And I still kind of struggle with that here and there. But just understanding that I can be more intentional and grateful for the times that I get to be by myself and have, little quiet spaces, whether that's at work. It's nice to be able to do both. But it was difficult for me to go into this and realize I was sacrificing getting those drop-offs and those windows of time. And I'm really embarrassed at how much I idolized the idea of the day to not have my children with me. But the reality is I know there's another mom out there listening right now that feels that way and might be considering homeschool. And I just want you to know that if he can change my heart and the way I felt about it, he can change yours too if this is right for your family. And that there's so much more beauty and blessing in where we are now as opposed to where we were then. And I'm just really grateful that he's still working on my heart and refining all of the ugly. And it will be a forever process.
Yeah.
I know. Each year is going to be different. Each year is going to be new challenges.
Things will change.
But I'll forever be grateful just for this opportunity to have our kids at home. I know I'll look back on these years and thank God for the time that we get to spend with them. No day looks perfect. Like by no means do I ever want anyone to think that it's easy, that it's smooth. It's not, but that doesn't mean it's bad. So just remember that.
Yeah. And I will go back. My idol was they're not going to be in my school system that I grew up in. They're not going to be a cyclone. They're going to wear orange and black. Not going to have the relationships with their friends that I had. And once I realized that they don't need to live through what I lived through. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be a cyclone. They're going to be their own person. That just wasn't important. The important thing was that we're together. And the school system is different than what it was 20 years ago.
Right. That's just reality.
And it is reality, and it's everywhere. Everybody says we're in the country, but it is different than it was when we grew up. Mm-hmm. So my experiences might not be the same as kids are having right now.
Right.
And we had to really look at the best thing for our family and for the kids. And there were just so many positives on the side of the chart that we just couldn't say no to it.
Yeah. Will we do this forever? We don't know. We take it year by year, and that's where we're going to leave it because honestly, if I think any further, I get overwhelmed. But we're grateful for where we are. And I hope today's episode, if anything, just gave you an insight to what homeschool can look like. And you're more than welcome to follow over on Instagram at The Modern Tulip. I share a lot of behind the scenes of just what days look like and, little peeks and glimpses as to how we do it. I'll never share the moments where, there's breakdowns happening and we're simultaneously trying to do school and Cree's crying. Like, that's just not necessary to be shared, but I want you to know it happens. And, we really enjoy it. So I hope today was encouraging, if anything, and it just gave you a glimpse as to what it looks like. And if you're thinking about homeschooling and you have more questions, you are so free to reach out to me. I do not have all the answers, but I will happily walk you through anything I can share from experience and pray with you through it. And thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you guys.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked it, leave us a review. If you're following on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. On Instagram, follow us at The Modern Tulip, and we will see you guys in the next episode.